Rev up your engines! Paul Turco says, any suggestions how to stop car thieves? My car was stolen. They used an OBD2 scanner to reprogram a new smart key. Numero uno. They had to get into your car. They can't program a key for your car unless they get in the car. And they have to plug it into your OBD port. So somehow they got into your car. You're in an open area, people watch you, you're parking lot somewhere. When you push the button to lock and unlock it, they can record that on a machine and they can get into your car anytime they want. Then they can easily plug the reprogrammer again and reprogram the car. So in your case, you want to keep people from getting inside your car. Use a key to open and close it. Now, if you don't have a key to open and unlock it, most of the ones that have keyless systems do have a key that's inside. You can lock and unlock the door, and when you're in strange places, do that. Unless you don't trust your neighbor and you think he broke in and stole your car, that'd be kind of stupid, right? If you don't want your car actually stolen, you do all the preventative things, lock it, put it in a garage, whatever. But if you have no choice and it's outside, put yourself a kill switch somewhere in the car. You can flip the switch, so even if they reprogram a key to start your car, it won't start because your kill switch is turned off and it won't give power to whatever you shut off, the ignition system or the fuel injection system or the fuel pump. You could wire it to any one of those. And whether they had a key or not, it won't start because there's no power going to whatever you have that kill switch hooked up to. Kill switches are real handy. Or if you don't even want to do that and you want to go through the trouble, find out where your fuel pump relay is in your fuse box. Take it out when you leave the car. How many thieves have a spare fuel pump relay in their pocket? None, right? So you could always do that if you want to go through all that bother of unplugging it every time you leave the car. Or like I said, hide a kill switch somewhere. And if they reprogram that car and it won't start, guess what? They're running away to the next car. They're going to give up. Jason Prusel says, I got a Prius, 276,000 miles running great. How much longer do I have? The great Carmack, Johnny Carson, I predict the future. Problem is, how much longer it's going to last depends on how much money do you want to spend on it and how are you driving it around. You got 276,000 miles on that thing. Odds are your hybrid battery is on its way out. And a new one costs like $5,000 to $7,000 or more. You can get a rebuilt one, but I don't advise it because they only come with usually a year or two warranty and they still cost $1,000-something. And then if it goes bad, you got to start all over again. It's a pain in the butt, right? But you never know. You got it. It's paid for. Drive it. See how long it lasts. And if one day the hybrid battery goes out, then decide, do I want to spend $1,500, $2,000 and put a rebuilt battery in and hope it lasts for years and years? Do I want to buy the Toyota factory one, which is like $5,000 to $7,000? Or do I want to just get rid of the car? And of course, if your generator ever goes, you're going to get rid of the car because to replace the generator on that thing is, last time I priced about $6,000 up. And I doubt if you want to spend that kind of money. Tyler64 says, Scotty, should I get a Toyota 86 or a Subaru BRZ? Well, it's the same car. Realize, Toyota does not make them. Those are all made in a Subaru factory by Subaru. If you want to get one of those, see which one you can get at the lowest price and buy it. Because they're the same car. It's just like a Toyota Supra and a BMW. It's the same car. It's a BMW. So if you do want to buy one of those, see where you can get the better deal and buy it. Because it's the same car. The only difference is the emblems they glue on them, Bapple said, would it be worth putting a turbo on a Civic Hybrid? Well, it's kind of overkill. You got a hybrid engine and you got an electric motor. And an electric motor boosts power, right? If you added a turbo, it might totally screw up all the software because that thing is switching between electric motor, gasoline motor. And if you put all that extra power in the gasoline motor, you might create some real software problems. That's such an oddball car to begin with. Adding a turbocharger, I wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't do it. There's too many ifs software-wise and not that many guys out there that know how to reprogram stuff like that. So I'd probably leave it alone. Rudy Getz says, how much rain is needed to wash the road salt off the road? Very good question. Okay, here in Tennessee, we had a lot of snow twice, right? Now, I noticed there isn't any salt left on the road. They don't heavily salt the roads here. The problem is, you got to get it off the road. If you live up north where it's cold and it never gets above freezing, it's not going to wash away. It's just going to be sitting back and forth, turning into the slush and all of that stuff, and it's going to come back again. The better thing for you, if you live up north, is to rinse your car a lot in the winter. I noticed last time I went to Niagara Falls when it was cold, my car was covered in salt. I'm like, bleh, I don't want it all eaten away. I go to one of these car wash joints, and the guy says, hey, for like $29 a month, you get unlimited washes, right? So you could take it in as many times as you want. want. And it's a heated place. It's all heated. And they do the undercarriage spray where they spray the bottom of the car and the sides, and the salt's gone then. But of course, as soon as you get back on the road, the salt comes right back on. If it's mushy and it's not, 0 degrees where you don't have to worry about it because it's not salt and water where it sloshes on, it's just hard then. It doesn't stop you from sliding when it's that cold anyway. It's got to be a certain temperature, or the ice is there and nothing's going to get rid of it until it warms up more, right? The easier thing is to rinse your car off, and whatever happens to the roads, well, you have no control over that anyway, so rinsing it off is the best thing to do. Henry and Joseph said, "Where are your cats? Haven't seen them in a while." There, down there. There's a cat. The real cat is behind the screen over there, sleeping on our bed. She's having a rest, which is what cats mainly do. And then in Rhode Island, there's another version of it sitting on the wall. Just look closely. And then, of course, over there is the Egyptian cat my wife gave me ages ago. The Egyptians worship cats. There's a cat worshiping statue. Well, Hyundai now has their fancy electric car out there that's really fast. It's faster than a Lamborghini, they say. At least 0 to 60. The EV6 GT is out now, and it's Hyundai's big flagship electric vehicle. Now, with all the electric vehicles, they're somewhat more expensive. These things start at $62,900, so, 63 grand. They're not giving them away, but I got one big thing that I'd worry about. Hyundai and Kia, they each own parts of each other, right? It's like a giant octopi with tentacles, but they're notorious for having low quality. Engines blow up. All kinds of problems with their transmissions, right? Who would want to gamble with 63 grand of their own money? This electric car is going to have problems like the gasoline cars did. They have a proven track record of making crappy cars. Now all of a sudden, look, we got a great new luxury EV. Yeah, go out and buy it. It's faster than a Lamborghini. Yeah, 0 to 60, but you're comparing an electric vehicle to a gasoline, which isn't fair. Electric motors have full torque as soon as you turn them on, so they can take off real fast. The top end of them usually isn't all that great, but they can take off fast because the electric motors have instant torque when you turn them on. They don't have to rev up like a gasoline engine. Now, I just read an article about it. I haven't seen one yet, and it was in the Architectural Digest, and the guy's falling all over himself about how great this electric car is, right? Well, come on now. The very fact that this article was in the Architectural Digest, architects, people with all kinds of money designing houses for extremely rich people, right? I guess they think 63 grand is extremely affordable for an electric car. That's nothing, I get that for designing one building or whatever. Here's the end of the guy's article, which leads me into my usual, don't listen to what a lot of people say about cars because they don't know what they're talking about. Here's his conclusion. If you're not keeping an eye on Kia, you're missing out. It's hilarious. It's just absolutely hilarious. Like, well, how much money did they pay the guy to write this article for him? And then to top it all off, it was an Architectural Digest. It wasn't even in a car magazine. I guess the guy moonlights as a car reviewer, right? Well, you wondered about that Tesla's full self-driving system. Well, looks like it doesn't work very good in the snow either. The Detroit Tesla YouTube account shows a guy's driving, and it's only a couple inches of snow in Detroit at the time. It's not some outrageous 7 feet like in Buffalo or something. It's a couple inches. The thing's going to smash into the curbs. He's got to take over. It can't handle the snow. If you remember, a few weeks ago, old Elon said, well, now anybody can have my full self-driving stuff if they want to pay $15,000 for it. Realize originally they only allowed people with good driving records to use it because they didn't want madmen getting in wrecks with it, so they're like, oh, we'll just do it with the guys who know how to drive. Well, he's obviously running out of money now, so now anybody who's got Tesla wants to fork out 15 grand, they can get a system that doesn't work all that well. And as this guy found out in Detroit, it doesn't work at the snow hardly at all. I mean, the name alone, full self-driving, it isn't. It's a fraud in itself. The name is a fraud. It is not full self-driving. It should be called maybe driving assistance, driving aid, but not full self-driving. I guess these days people can say whatever they want, mislead people all over the place, and then they fork out 15 grand for something that doesn't even work all that well. Stangman78 says, Scotty, how did you lose a tooth? Just curious. Well, I lost that tooth 47 years ago in a hockey game in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, right? And the guy had a breakaway, and I was the goalie. He shoots it, and I catch it. But then he kept going, and he knocked my mask off with his elbow, and then his elbow also knocked my tooth out. And I had it replaced a long time ago, 47 years ago. But eventually that has fallen out. Now I have a plate to put in, but unfortunately, when I smile, with the plate, it looks good, but you can't hear me. It makes me talk with a lisp. So I'm not wearing it except for smiley pictures, and I'm waiting for the actual implant piece to go in. It goes into this little piece that's screwed into my skull, right? It's a press fit, and that part broke. So they're having a new one made, and when I get it put in, I'll be back to relative normality. At least for me, the last 47 years. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.